Welcome to One Voice Chats. This is an opportunity for us to get to know who's in our community and who's doing work for the kingdom in our community. Today's guest is Tim Schneckloth with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks.
Good to have you here. And we're going to talk about FCA and how you got involved. So first of all, tell me, what is FCA? Tell me the mission of FCA.
Well, the mission of FCA, I guess, real short, to basically minister to and through coaches and minister then to and through the athlete with the gospel. It's bringing coaches of faith and athletes of faith to minister through their sport and through their passion of sport, and really to bring the gospel into our community through our, believe it or not, our schools.
Yeah, it's kind of changed, hasn't it? Because maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't it geared toward the athlete first? But did you find out, and when did you find out where coaches were really is like teachers? Teachers and coaches, man, they really have influence in our lives. So was there a point where FCA realized we need to get to these coaches and then to the players?
Yeah, and that's a great question because I think again, FCA, like a lot of ministries, were given a specific task, and maybe if you want to say lane to run, by God. And I think in the maybe around the 80s when maybe the youth movement really exploded, FCA got kind of out of its lane and tried to be everything to everyone.
Okay.
And I think we suffered as a ministry for that. And it was back in the early 90s with a change in our presidency. Dal Sheely at the time became our new president. I'll never forget one of the first meetings I was at that Dal spoke at. Before he took that position, he did a 30-day fast. And really, it was right before Thanksgiving as well.
Genius.
Yeah, genius. And then really refocused the ministry to what it was supposed to be.
Okay.
And that was a sports ministry to the coach and through the coach that could do ministry in the athletes that they're stepping into the lives of. So those athletes could do ministry to and through their lives as well. And that really was a game changer. It didn't happen overnight, but we are at a point now, like never before, to really have the coach's influence, which has always been there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Billy Graham said years ago about FCA that a coach will influence more people in 1 year than the average person does in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And, for Billy Graham to say that, he really understood the influence that a coach has. And that can be both, positive, but it can also be negative as well. Yeah. And so that's what we're really trying to do.
Well, sounds like a great plan. I mean, the origins of FCA go further back then.
Yeah, it was, started out with Don McLennan, who was a coach himself. And God really, gave him this vision of, if a coach or an athlete of a real high caliber can promote alcohol and tobacco, why couldn't a coach or athlete of faith promote Jesus Christ? Right. And so he took this vision and shared it with Branch Rickey, in fact. His first donor call. And he basically packed up, from the story he said, they packed up his family and drove, I think at that time, about 7-8 hours to the East Coast. And a 5-minute meeting turned into a several-hour meeting, and FCA was born out of that. And it really started as a camp ministry. Yeah. He started with Estes Park, Colorado. Mm-hmm. He brought professional coaches and athletes, high-level college coaches and athletes together for a week-long camp. And they just used their platform of athletics and sports coaching to present the gospel of Jesus Christ to those kids at that camp. And that was back in the mid to late 50s.
Wow.
Yeah,
way back.
So that's how it started.
How long have you been involved?
Since about the late 50s now. About 20 years.
You look good, everybody.
Yeah, it feels that way. It feels like it's only been since the late 50s. But it's going on 20 years. I started November of 1999. I'll never forget that because I was at the prayer breakfast, and Steve Alford was the speaker that year. And so, Steve Alford is no longer coaching at Iowa, but I'm still here with
Somebody
FCA.
Somebody needs to call Iowa and tell them that.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just my going on my 20th year now.
They need a pin, right? Get something.
Yeah, something. I don't know. Yeah.
What made you? What prompted you to get involved with FCA?
Yeah,
I mean, you were an athlete in college, and
high school and college. Ran some track, but again. that aspect, I came to know Christ through FCA in high school.
Oh, really?
It was, as my head track coach at North Scott, Deke Ryan. He was the guy who also was the FCA huddle coach, as we call them.
Right.
And as a freshman, he invited me to FCA, and I had no idea what it was, but my head coach invited me, and so I was going to go. And through that process of my relationship with my coach and FCA huddle, which that's our word for the club that we had in school. Right. At that time, we met Monday nights at 7 p.m. And so through that process, it was at a retreat in Marshalltown, Iowa, which unfortunately we don't have anymore, where I accepted Christ in a church there through an FCA retreat. So.
That's cool. Now, how many students are like you? I mean, how many students are you guys dealing with regionally? I mean, you have a pretty large region.
We do. Yeah, we're around 20 counties on both the Iowa and Illinois side, just kind of up and down the Mississippi River.
Right.
From Dubuque, Galena, all the way down to Keokuk and just south of Galesburg.
I thought you were going to say Louisiana.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we used to, but they had to give it back. So, but now, like you say, at any given week, it's really hard to pinpoint. But on average, we've got 100 huddles now. Yeah. That we're overseeing, and I'd say somewhere between 2,000 to 2,500 students per week can be involved with FCA, coming to our huddles and being involved with what we have on campus.
There's plenty of room for more, right?
There is. I mean, it's amazing. The biggest thing that is our challenge right now but we've been blessed to hire more staff. Yeah. Because we're seeing that with the growth, we need staff in strategic areas to serve these huddles and to serve the coaches and to grow the ministry that way.
What's your title?
My title is, it depends on what month it is.
It seems like
it's changed over the years. But right now, I'm an area representative for all of Iowa FCA in coaching ministry. Yeah, I oversee and help train staff and help staff and with our coaching ministry. Ministry obviously to the coach.
Yeah.
In that. So.
That's genius. And this is the 3D coaching that you're involved in.
Yep, yeah. Three-dimensional coaching is a partnership that we have with FCA, and it's just a great opportunity and a great tool that we can have. I think in the past, and this is a big thing with ministry, parachurch ministries, we would always say to a coach, "Hey, coach, any way I can serve you and your team, let me know." And I think we were praying that they would never ask us how we would do that, because you go, "Well, let me get back to you on that one," But now I think with three-dimensional coaching, it's such an incredible tool. Because what three-dimensional coaching does is it encourages and challenges the coach of faith, and also there's an opportunity of coaches that are not of faith. Right. That why are you doing what you're doing? What's the true purpose behind it?
Yeah. And do you understand what Billy Graham said years ago about the coach?
Yeah, and it really is the impact and the influence that they have. Part of three-dimensional coaching uses that quote that Billy Graham gave. And it also talks, and kind of expounds upon it, that's really great power that coaches have, if they believe it or not. Right. And really with great power needs to come great character, and if we can help coaches to develop their own character, not just their athletes, then we hit a home run.
And I've sat through at an Iron Sharpens Iron breakout. I sat through your session. It was great. Do you have any stories, testimonies just give me one? I'm putting you on the spot here, but a shining moment, maybe without a name that.
One that comes to mind because it is a coach's story. We, years ago, and we used to do a couples retreat up in Eagle Ridge in Galena, and now they've become much more localized, and it's not a full weekend. It's just one day or an evening and dinner. But we did that for 8 years, and it was a big task. It was more of a Illinois Iowa FCA joint venture together. And we would have coaches and their spouses come up, and we'd minister to them from a Friday night to Sunday morning. And one of the coaches that young coach at the time, he and his wife, I just really been trying to get him there, and it was a tough go, and I finally did. And they were running late. I was wondering, oh boy, what's going on? And I tell you, the enemy did everything he could to try and not get them there, because they had some car issues. Once they had the car issues, they started arguing as a couple. Sure. And they were really close, from what he told me when he got there, that they were really close in turning back and going home and not showing up. And he said that weekend saved their marriage.
Really?
And he said that it was because of the commitment that they made to me and to FCA that they showed up. If it wasn't the relationship that he had with me, it would have been really easy for him. If it was just some other couples retreat that they didn't really know anybody, he said they probably wouldn't have showed up.
That's great testimony.
And so those are the things that obviously it's all God working in that. The glory is to him, not to us or to FCA, but to what he does.
God used you as a vehicle.
He does, yeah.
Well, so how can somebody get involved with FCA?
Right now, there's a lot of great ways to get involved. We have our legacy dinner coming up on April 14th that people can come and be a part of. We got Jackie Joyner-Kersey coming this year as our main speaker.
Nice.
And so that's a way that they can really kind of find out more about what we're doing.
Okay.
We have an area leadership board that people can become a part of and help us with the leadership aspect and the vision and the mission and the will of God in this ministry. But, a couple of things that we're really excited about is we're in 100 schools. Maybe we have a school that we're involved in your community. Would you like to become a volunteer that could help bring food to a huddle, help hang out with kids at a huddle, help the huddle coach with that? Those are great ways. And another thing that we're doing is what we call our chaplain program. And we really feel that there are people sitting in the church that would like to be a chaplain in a high school, and or even some of our colleges that would want to maybe reach out and start to develop relationships with coaches, just to show up and let them know that there's people in the community that love them and support them, if they're a believer or not.
Right.
And that's a great way to start building relationships with coaches and their teams through this chaplain program. We go through an extensive training. That's part of my coaching ministry duties, is to find those people, train them, and then help them be established into the schools that we're involved in.
Sounds great. People can find more information about FCA.
Yeah, the two greatest places to go and best places to go would be our website at illawafca.org.
Okay.
And then also our Facebook page.
Sure.
We use a lot, and that is under Illawa FCA.
All right. How can we be praying? There'll be a lot of people watching this that might not know about FCA, what you guys do. How can we be praying for Fellowship of Christian Athletes? Is there something in general?
I think twofold. One, continue to pray over this ministry and the favor that we have within the school systems that we're in.
Yeah.
We are incredibly blessed, and very seldom do we run into situations where we're not welcome. Right. I don't know if it's because of the sports platform that we have and just the emphasis that sports has in our culture. Yeah. But if you could really pray for that favor to continue to be there for as long, and because we're bringing the gospel and prayer into the public schools with our huddles. It's incredible.
And
God's
nobody does
favor.
it better. Nobody does it better.
And then also, if you could be praying for our continued growth in staff. We are seeing more staff come on board, but we need the funding, and we need to find those people for those positions. But it's gone from about a staff of 3 of us, Dan Pearson, myself, and an administrative assistant. We have a new one, Angie. But right now, we're looking at 3 to 4 new positions that are starting now, and we're needing about 2 to 3 new more positions to be filled within the next 1, 2, 3 years. So those are the 2 areas: staffing and just covering us in prayer. Yeah, for favor.
That's good. Well, thanks, Tim. We'll be right back with our speed round. Welcome back to One Voice Chats and our speed round. These are real simple. They're really not going to hurt at all.
Oh, man. You said simple. Now I'm going to blow it. No.
Coffee or tea?
I used to be a coffee guy, but now I've turned tea.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. I don't know if I'm on a health kick or what.
I think it's both. Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
Coke?
Yeah. I know.
That's all right. Well, favorite movie?
I'd have to say Gladiator.
I thought it'd be some guy. Remember the Titans or something like that.
No, yeah, some sports one. I'm a history major, so I think that's probably why. But
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Favorite band? Do you have a favorite band?
I grew up loving, still do, love the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and The Seven Bridges Road was the best harmony I've ever heard in my life. I can't carry a tune, so I was very jealous, but I guess I just love that.
So song, that would be the
Yeah, that one just really stuck out.
Is that the one that now we'll talk later. Yeah, I think I know which one. It's
Yeah.
great. My wife loves the Eagles too. Favorite quote?
There's a lot of them out there and a lot of sports ones, but in our home, my wife and I, she got one of those, boards that have famous quotes on or
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
it's, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all. And that's
Nice.
really been
Yeah.
our motto as a family and as a, married couple.
I'm stealing that one. Favorite author?
C.S. Lewis,
Okay.
Screw Tape Letters.
Screw Tape Letters.
Was, one of the best books I ever read, and more disturbing books I've ever read too. All in the same time.
How about food?
Favorite
food? Yeah, something that-
I had. The last meal would have been steak. Like I say, I'd have to say that.
So they take it away from us,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't eat it, but I love it. Yeah,
Any hobbies?
Yes, downhill skiing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've been a ski instructor at Chestnut and Galena for a long time.
Yeah.
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years. Wow. Well, that's cool. Well, thanks, Tim, for being with us.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
One Voice Chats. And again, if you want information about FCA or One Voice QC, just tune into the websites or Facebooks, and we'll see you next time.